Record to cloud. Perfect. I don't know if y'all heard that, but we're being recorded, man. Let me check and make sure Kenny D's not on. Okay, guys, cycle of selling. Anybody's thoughts on it? Anybody review any of the stuff? Anything that you've reviewed over the last couple of weeks that we've talked about? Yes, no, maybe. No? Okay. Pre-approach. Guys, when you're going into a business, we all know that we got to know what's up. We got to have some information about them. The beautiful thing is we have Sales Rabbit, which really does give us information about that business, right? It's sometimes I forget to use Sales Rabbit, and then I'll come out to my car and enter some stuff in Sales Rabbit, and I'll look down, and the owner's name is right there, right? And I already went in and said, hey, are you the one to talk to? And they're like, oh, no, it's the owner, when I should have just looked at Sales Rabbit. So that's me being old and, not using the materials that are in front of us to use and things like that. So the approach, guys, one of the toughest things, and this goes back to, us gathering stats and things like that. Knowing the cycle of the sale. Ken just texted me and said, no one's on. Let me give him this code real quick. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to switch it over in just a second to let Ken in, but again, part of the issue of us not being all at the same time. So approach, guys. If people are getting a lot of not getting into the businesses and not getting demos, it could be a problem with approach, right? Could be a problem with pre-approach. Those are the first two things in the step of the sale that we need to make sure that we have on time. That's the use of names. That's going in and using the script that we've already learned, and we're going to go over that here in a minute. But the introduction, okay, transitioning from the approach to the benefits in the presentation. Guys, that's usually, and I wrote this down when I first started. I had a notebook from Kyle or Van. I spent a couple hours, and I wrote down, word for word what the approach was, word for word. And okay, sorry guys, Kenny D is gonna drive me nuts. He's in. Okay. So when you're transitioning, obviously you go back to the, Mr. Carr, cancer, heart attacks, strokes, it's not the most pleasant subject to talk about, but it does affect a lot of people. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
Yes. Hey guys, there's only one no question that I ask in my demo, and this is not going to be a good question for those of you who've not ever been in the car with me or trained with me. But the one no question, Josiah, do you know what it is?
Does that surprise you?
Correct. When I show the statistics page, do these numbers surprise you? It's the only time I want somebody to say what?
No.
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 It's the only time I want somebody to say no. Guys, and I already know that ahead of time. Every other question that I ask is always going to be a question that hopefully they're going to answer yes to, correct? Does that surprise you? Some people say yes, it does, but most people say no, because then my next question is, what do you think causes so much of it?
Yep.
Right? But that's our transition. Our transition from the approach to the introduction is, cancer, heart attacks, and strokes. It's not the most pleasant subject to talk about, because what are we doing there? We're throwing out the fact that it's an objection. Hey man, I don't really like talking about cancer. Some people think there's kabuki around it, if you talk about it, you're willing it into your life or your family or whatever. So your presentation, guys, if you don't know your presentation, and let me throw this out there. Everybody that you train, their presentation should be just like yours. It should be just like yours. One day, Josiah and I were at a childcare. This is back when the world was a free world. And I was laughing at his demo because it literally sounded just like mine. And I was laughing to myself. It was awesome. It was an awesome thing. So it was kind of cool. So anybody on your team, their demo should be just like yours. So that's why you got to make sure that yours is on time. It's key. You're following the steps. You're going through the cycle of selling. You're not skipping anything. Your buying atmosphere is strong. That's why we're going over it today, because I want to spend a little bit of time on this. Your presentation, your close. Guys, we should all have a good close. Okay? We're going to go over that in a minute. Responses to objections. You know, most people are, some people are going to give you a spouse. Some people are going to give you a budget. Some people are going to do, so do we do the feel, felt, found? Are we reading enough testimonials? What are we doing? The solidification, and then the field recruiting. We're trying to figure out an award here in our office for field recruiting. Josiah wants like a championship wrestling belt. So I started looking into one of those yesterday, man. So we might be getting one of those made here for the Wilmington office, and I'm kind of excited about that too. So guys, understand the cycle of selling. How many times have we heard Brad talk about this? A bunch. Okay. Why does Brad talk about it a bunch? Because it's important, right?
And it works.
Gosh almighty,
if you
y'all.
don't know the cycle of sale, then shame on you.
Yep. Gosh almighty, y'all. All right. Pre-approach, knowing your information. Gosh almighty, y'all. My favorite is his voicemail where it says, "I'll get back to you. Thank you."
Brad, I'm gonna call you after this call.
Part.
Don't answer. I want to hear this
right,
voicemail.
that's what it is.
I don't even remember what my voicemail says anymore.
It's awesome. All right. Pre-approach, knowing your information. Guys, it's okay if somebody says no, man, to ask, hey, do you know who has a business next door? Because it may not be a sales rep. Let's be honest. Okay. Do you know who? Yeah, I was just talking to Bill next door. Guys, that's giving us, it puts people at ease, right? You're finding some commonality with some people. People buy on the approval of others, but people also let you talk to them on the approval of others. It's easier to use somebody's name that you've talked to. Kyle is perfect at this. It was so funny. I remember him and I going to a dentist office. And one day when he came down the road with me, and the funny thing about it was we got shot down at the dentist office, but the girl's name was Tina. Like she didn't even let us demo her or nothing like that. So then we were right next door, and Kyle was like, "Oh man, I was just next door talking to Tina. Sat down with her for a couple minutes. She loved it." And the lady was like, "Oh, cool." She didn't really know Tina, but I was laughing to myself because Tina really just shut us down. But again, it's using those names, guys. That's why Kyle is so effective out here with what he does. So always asking for referrals, collected information. This information helps you in 5 key areas, gives you confidence knowing who you're going to see. Always an easier thing to do. Okay. Sales rabbit, asking questions to neighbors, gives the prospect confidence in you because you appear to fit in. That means, hey man, they're at ease because you threw out a name that they know. Correct. And they can recognize that and relate to that. Keeps you organized, accurate, and planned. Pre-qualifies the prospect. You guys, some of this information, income, age, family situation, things like that, is more of a residential deal. But it also, to know, you can get information from somebody about somebody next door. Okay, it's not that hard to do. Sorry about that, guys. It's probably Joe Johnson's birthday.
The internet is also an amazing, easy tool for you to use as well if you are having trouble finding any information on the business. Just pull it up real quick.
Yeah. I've looked people up on Facebook. It's odd, but I don't really have a lot of luck looking up somebody's picture on Facebook. I can never find them. But guys, these are just abbreviations. You don't have to do these things. This is more or less back in the day when they used to do the maps, right? This is pretty funny. HWK kid. Okay. But back when they used to do maps and draw the street out, they used to do the codes and stuff like this. So, and if you've ever seen anybody's, here's what one looks like. When I was in sales school, way back a long time ago, before they had power and black and white TVs, they would show us these in our sales school, because I went to a residential sales school, but they would show us these maps and things like that. So, very helpful. Now we just happen to have Sales Rabbit, right? Which again is helpful. And we're also going to get the pre-approach coming up soon too. So, how to get pre-approach from people. Everybody knows how to get pre-approach from people. What's the first thing you have to do?
Ask.
Bam. Wow. Guys, you got to ask.
Ask for a favor.
Look at the first two. Ask for a favor. Kenny D, looking sharp. Look at you.
What's up,
hey,
big
man?
fella?
How are you, brother? Ask for help. Ask essential and helpful questions. Guys, some people don't know what information you need. So get good at asking. If you're not good at getting pre-approach, call somebody who is good at it and ask them what they have or how they do it. Look right here. It says, I wonder if you could help me with something. I was wondering, the people next door, are they retired or do they work? Now, that's a residential approach, okay? Those of us that do fire departments and we go see those people at night, guys, you can still do that. You could use the T approach, right? You could go next door, you could go across the street. But it's by asking people. Sometimes they'll refer their neighbor. And then you just go, hey, man, I was just talking to Si and his wife, Lydia. You know, they were next door, and they said that you'd be a good person for me to talk to. Do you have about 5 minutes place where you can sit down? Guys, use the information that you have, okay? And then always be thankful for what they did, the information that they give, okay? If they don't know anything, don't lie because neighbors talk. Does that make sense? Oh, man, he said I should come over here and just talk to you for a couple minutes. I mean, he loved it and got it. Don't say that kind of stuff because neighbors talk, man. What happens if they get it and they walk outside and go, hey, Ken, they told me that you got this coverage too. And Ken's like, nope. I told him to hit the street and go see you. So be careful what you're promising, okay? Ken, you got any thoughts on pre-approach? You've done the residential side of it.
Say again.
I said, do you have any thoughts on pre-approach, residentially or business? You've done both.
Yeah, just follow the teaching from the success manual and be thankful and always layer what you're asking, just like you do when you're doing referrals. So like if they give you some information, if they say, oh, that's write his name down, and if it's a couple of other businesses or houses down the street, don't just get all the information on Jeff. Ask for more information down, more names down the street or down the plaza, and then come back and ask, more information on top of that. So if it was Jeff, then all right, cool. The business next to that, on the other side of Jeff, the barbershop, do you know the guy that owns that? Who would I ask for over there? And then come back and say, oh, how long them guys been over here? Or do you know if they're from here or whatever? But just layer the information that you're asking for so that you don't wear them out, and you can get more information on more people that way.
And guys, I like that. Thank you for that, Kenny D. It says you're using the principle of giving the person the choice between something and something. Mm-hmm. So right here, I was wondering if you could help me with something. I was wondering, the people next door, are they retired or do they work? Guys, both those pieces of information will help you. Okay? If you just said, hey, are they retired? You're giving them the option of two different answers, okay? A direct question can be misinterpreted. So I just like that. I think that, guys, we got to learn to be better at that. And you're giving them the choice of two things. And guys, they're going to pick one of the two. Brad, were you going to say something?
Well, I mean, that just goes along with a lot of different things. You always give people the choice of two positives. And those two positives are whatever they say, either one of those things will help you in one way or another. And that the choice of two positives, I mean, that goes along with a lot of different areas in this career and knowing how to do that effectively.
I try and use that at home with my wife, try and give her a choice of two positives. So it doesn't always work. But, so guys, right here, we get into the business, and it says right here, hey, guys, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this a bunch. You're really saving me a lot of time. This really helps. Guys, all these phrases are going to be helpful. There's a reason that we have this book. There's a reason that the success manual is still very, very useful today. It has a lot of information that we need to know. Here's the B2B approach. We talked about that earlier. Owner, you know, who's the owner or manager, hours of operations, you know how many people are over there. Guys, people love to talk. They love to talk about themselves, but they also like to talk about, different things. They like to gossip and things like that. So here's the approach. I wrote down the other day the things that we wanted to talk about. No, I can't find that sticky note. It was right here. But anybody, we're talking about the approach, or do we want to just skip to building the need? Do we all know what that is? The first approach, we all know what it is, correct? Yes or no? At our stage in the career, we should have this down.
I'd like to ask this, because I haven't. It's been ages since I actually trained someone, so I actually got the B2B sales script that they're getting in Sales Academy. And so in 2020, when we changed over to having to do stuff at home for a while, I think this got revitalized. And is everyone using that particular sales script? And it's really the same, but it's worded a little bit different than what we all dinosaurs learned in Sales Academy years ago. Is everybody using what?
Does it look like this, Kenny D?
No, Josiah, there's a new one.
Actually, it looks like this.
That, yeah.
Joseph, or Josiah, you've been saying the wrong thing this whole time. No wonder your sales aren't great right now.
Yeah, I know, guys. Oh, this is a family heritage script. My bad.
No, totally kidding. But y'all, it's the same skeleton. It's the same skeleton. They are very similar. Y'all, you should really be able to know how to form, because there's 100 different approaches out there, but they're all the same skeleton. And a lot of times you might have to adjust one thing or another to, just because it's, approaching can be situational, as we all know.
Yeah.
Every approach to every business is going to be a little, those situations are going to be a little different with what they're asking you, things like that, how you respond to them and everything, but it's all the same skeleton. And if you can't simply walk into a business and just, hey, I'm Brad Phillips with Family Heritage. I'm the one in charge of catching up with all the businesses out here in Charlotte about cancer and heart disease and accidents, which, look, I know it's not the most pleasant thing, but I'm sure it's affecting a whole lot of folks out here. I was just catching up with David over here at the tire shop, and I'm sure you probably know Mike over here at the coffee shop beside you. He's super cool, got 3 kids. I was talking to him for a while, but I hadn't had a chance to catch up with you yet. Just want to pop in real quick and introduce myself to you and show you what I do for everybody else around here. Is right here good, or is there somewhere we can sit down? I mean, y'all, that's your approach.
Yeah.
And if you can't really just say it like that, then you need to go back to the basics and figure out how to say it like that. But it's the same skeleton. Is it going to be word for word exactly what I just said? It should be pretty close.
Right.
But it's the same skeleton.
So,
guys, you want it to be like yours.
Absolutely. The reason I asked is because sometimes with my experience with training folks, sometimes they'll come out of Sales Academy and they'll hear you do a personalized sales script and approaches and all the way through, which is word for word, so to speak, but not necessarily every single word that they just learned. Sometimes it's important to visit that and say, I'm saying what you're saying, but I'm saying it with my personality. So sometimes I think it's important to drive home to the new folks that they'll be able to, say this in their own words once they actually know this word for word. And they can get thrown off by trying to say what they think you're saying, because it sounds like, oh, well, I should say it like they're saying it because they sound way cooler and they're getting results. In reality, it's just because we've gotten comfortable with it over the years, and it's it's personalized to us versus they're saying words that are brand new to them that they're learning or whatever.
And Kennedy, you are exactly right, man. And y'all, that is a huge thing that you have to realize. people do not have the right to start personalizing anything in the approach, the demo, the buying atmosphere. They don't have the right to personalize anything until they know it word for word. Because if they don't know the basic script word for word, then they're going to butcher it when they try to quote unquote personalize it.
Yep.
And it's the turn off to people. There's too many people I've seen, they add way too much fluff. They get way off the script and they think they're helping them. They think they're doing a great job, but they're sucking because they just go off in left field about this stuff and it ends up shooting them in the foot. So just know that. I
Guys,
mean,
remember it.
When you're training folks,
Brad,
it's word for word what it's supposed to be. They don't have the right to even try to start personalizing things until they can do an entire, from beginning to end, the entire cycle of the sale, word for word. And once they know that, once they have that confidence in that, that's when they can start personalizing a little bit to go with their personality. But it all has to
guys,
be
let's go ahead. Remember that it's memorize, naturalize, personalize.
Yep.
Give that, let the people know that. Memorize it word for word. Naturalize just means don't make it sound robotic. Hi, Mrs. Smith. And then personalize. It's months down the road before we're personalizing, right? So, and we've all personalized and got out of control with our demo before. It's always happened. People bring us back around. Somebody rides with you that hasn't ridden with you in a long time, and they go, dude, what was that? So, guys, building the need, buying atmosphere, price build up, close, and the transition. Those are the notes that I took and the things that we're going to talk about. So, building the need. It's already 8:29. Let's look at it as quickly as we can, but as thorough as we can. Brad, you want to talk about the building the need?
Yeah. I'd love to.
It's more than, hey man, you need this.
Right. Hey, you need what I have to offer. Y'all understand something.
That's right.
All sales is how good are you at making things make sense for why you need what I have. That's all sales is. And how well you can paint the picture for them and what their life is going to look like if they don't have this. And you have to, and when we're talking about building the need, that comes down to asking them very important and personal questions. I mean, y'all, those 3 pages, the iceberg, starting from the direct and indirect costs, those 3 pages are the most 3 important pages in the entire presentation. Because that's where they're either going to be with you through the rest of it or they're not. And people will not be with you if you don't ask them the tough questions. Hey, so Josiah, so this iceberg page right here, this cool little picture I've got right here, this is going to simply start to explain why I'm sitting here right now, why I do what I do. Anytime you have one of these situations, whether it's cancer, accidents, illnesses, heart attack or stroke, whatever the case is, you always have 2 types of cost. First, right here, are the direct cost. Look, Josiah, that's exactly what your health insurance is for, man. And you have health insurance, right? Who's your health insurance with?
Blue Cross.
All right, cool. So that's going to pay the doctors and the hospitals, right? That keeps them in business. That keeps them happy. Man, we all know how that circle of money flows around, right? Josiah, I got nothing to do with that because the bigger chunk of the iceberg are the indirect cost or hidden cost. Now, this is what most folks don't think about. This is the one that always sinks the ship or your household. So Josiah, let's just say, man, God forbid you have an accident or you're out of work for a few months, or hell, man, you go through something like cancer. You're out of work for 6 months to a year, maybe longer than that. Let's say your health insurance paid every single penny of your doctor and hospital bills, which we all know it never does. Just say it did. Josiah, what else do you still have to pay for every single month?
Rent.
Yeah, you live somewhere, right? Yeah. What else? What else do you pay for every month?
The electricity, the water in it, the
What else?
Car, gas, food. I gotta eat.
Yep.
That's for
so
sure.
Josiah, so those are perfect examples of indirect cost. Okay, and man, it's like I tell everybody, the mailman, he don't quit his day job just because we're going through hell, right?
That's right.
Do any of those bills stop?
No,
they do not. So now, Josiah, those indirect costs, that's what's responsible for over 65% of bankruptcies in American families right now. It's everything that's still there when these things happen. And 78% of those bankruptcies, those people had great health insurance. Boom. Then that's when I flip the page and go to the entire list of indirect costs. Because, man, it's not rocket science, Josiah. We all know when you're not working, you ain't making money, right? Even if you have some type of short-term disability, that's only going to pay you about 60% of your pay if you're lucky. Because just like you just said, you still got your house, cars, utilities, food, co-payments and deductibles are not the white families out these days. Medications are outrageous for this stuff. Childcare, God almighty, that's a mortgage payment itself. You still got to eat. So Josiah, when do you think most people think about all these things right here?
They probably don't.
Well, man, there's 2 times that people think about this. That's when I'm sitting here with you, jaw jacking about it. And when do you think the next time is?
Probably once they start getting the bills because they're going through something.
When something happens. So Josiah, let me ask you, what do you currently have right now that's going to take care of all these things when something happens?
Nothing.
And man, that's okay. Don't feel bad. Only about 7% of folks do in our country. But man, this is why I'm here. Let me ask you, man, God forbid something did happen to you, Josiah. How long would you be able to last before all these things, all these indirect costs start taking its toll on you and your family financially?
Probably a couple months, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the most common answer I hear, man. A month or 2. 93% of Americans are 90 days from bankruptcy or less. It's crazy. So Josiah, this is why I'm here, because when these things happen, boom, that's when I go to the next page. That's when you're plowing through your savings if you have any, retirement funds if that's even there, college tuition for your kids. I mean, hell, man, we've all heard of people who've had to sell their house or cars. I mean, dude, these are personal things you work your whole life for. And all of a sudden, something happens, and it's like, what are we going to do? You're going to create a GoFundMe
Guys,
page.
you got to paint that picture.
Yes. And y'all, and I always pause and I let them just absorb that right there. And when I'm sitting down with people, I say it exactly how I'm saying it right now. I mean, I'm passionate about it. So Josiah, what are you going to do, after that month or 2? You're going to create a GoFundMe page and hope you can get enough donations from all your friends and family to keep your whole life going? Good luck. Unless you're some internet viral sensation, which most of us are not, right? Unless you're doing some weird stuff on the side or something. So Josiah, this is why I'm here, man. This is why I do what I do. We protect your assets, your family, your future. Once again, everything you've been working your whole life for up until this point. Y'all, you have to make people feel you when you sit down with them. You have to paint that picture. You have to be an artist. And the more of an artist, the better of an artist you can be at painting that picture for them, the more they're going to understand why they need what you have to offer. And they have to feel you when you sit down with them. You have to ask them these tough questions. And there's multiple questions that I ask folks. I was going through that pretty quickly. I mean, of course, it's always, hey man, if something was to happen, how is that going to change your, and you're out of work for 6 months to a year? How's that going to change your lifestyle and your monthly day-to-day, your monthly income? Y'all, if there's always, if you're not asking at least 5, 3 to 6 questions with every single person you sit down with in those few pages, it should be at least 5, maybe 7 or 8 questions in those 3 pages, then you're not doing it right. You're not building.
And guys, take out that objection. Take out the objection. Hey man, just other than a savings account, if you were to go through something like this, God forbid, do you have a backup plan? Because 90% of the people that you talk to, if you go, hey man, what kind of backup plan do you have in place right now if something like this were to happen? They're going to go, oh, I got savings.
Yeah, and Todd, I'll play that with you real quick, because that's one that we hear all the time. And I'll do that with you right now. Because y'all, there's a proper way to smash that objection so quickly, it's unreal. So Todd, let me ask you, man, God forbid something happened to you, how long you think you'd be able to last?
Oh man, I got money in savings, man. I'd be all right.
Oh yeah. All right, cool. Hey man, I'm glad you do. Let me ask you this, Todd. if something were to happen, would you rather just plow through all your savings that you've been working your entire life for? Or would you think it'd be a little easier just to have a simple backup plan that's going to take care of all that stuff?
I guess a backup plan, depending upon how much it costs,
Right. Well, I'll show you that here in a second. But Todd, this is the thing. Nobody cares to plow through all their savings just because something happened to them. You've been working a long time for that, right?
Right.
And I'll be straight up with you, man. I don't care how healthy you are, how much money you think you got in the bank, or how good you think your health insurance is. These situations always cost a lot more than people think they do. And your savings ain't going to last nearly as long as you think it will.
And guys, again, on that note right there where Brad's talking, man, I asked somebody, I did this last week, how long do you think it would take you to build your savings back up again to the level that it is right now for you guys to live off of? Would you rather use my money, which you don't have to pay back, or your money that you have to work in order to get back? Guys, you're digging in, man, because people are going to give you those things. So you got to dig in with them. You got to say, what's going, here's the deal, because you will get people to go, man, I'm pretty good with money, man. Blah, 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 and go on all these, tangents, and everything we have is paid for. Awesome. What's the reality of it? They could lose it all. Everything's paid for. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, cancer is expensive. So thank you for that, Brad, man. Anybody with questions about buying, about building needs, excuse me. Anybody have a thought or an addition to that?
Y'all just understand when you're going through this, when you're going through these questions with people, I mean, your tone of voice, your eye contact, I mean, you're staring people dead in the face when you're asking them these questions. Like I said, they have to feel you. You have to make this real for them, because if you don't, you are failing them in doing your job the right way. Because if
when you're training somebody, guys,
if you don't build the need, they're not going to get protected, and therefore you failed that family. Correct. That's how I think about it.
Kenny D, talk to me about the buying atmosphere.
Yes, sir. So creating a buying atmosphere. I'll say this: when I started, this was one of the parts of the demo that really I had a little bit of fear when it came to creating a buying atmosphere, and the biggest thing was I was worried about not getting the opportunity to present it, because I'm asking them to let me know one way or another today. So when it comes to training new agents and things like that, I usually use the experiences that I had when I was new to try to teach and help coach them in order for them to be able to understand the science behind why we do our presentation the way we do it. And so it was times that I would just kind of roll right over the buying atmosphere. Like I would do it, but I wouldn't do it. So one of the things that I didn't do was read another claim, and then roll into the buying atmosphere and actually do a strong buying atmosphere. And it was only when I was on a train more. It was actually the first train more I ever attended. And for you guys that don't know, I didn't start off with the legacy group or Protect One Family. I started off with a whole different group that no longer exists with Family Heritage. And we didn't do train mores. So I got invited to a train more because I knew Van and some of the other folks with Legacy and Protect One Family. So I got invited to a train more, and it's first train more I ever was on. And one of the morning meetings, they taught on the buying atmosphere, and that's when it clicked for me that, hey, you have to do a strong buying atmosphere. So all of this building the need leads up to creating a buying atmosphere, because they could want to buy it, when building a need.
Keep going. Sorry.
They can want to buy it when you get through building a need, but then in their mind they're thinking of all the reasons why they need to wait already. So I just really think, you know, at the time that we're training folks, we need to drive home the science or the theory behind why we do our presentation the way we do it, so that when they're on their own, they don't feel like that they can skip over some of this stuff. And the ones that are coachable, I believe that they'll just take it and they'll run with it. But yeah, I feel like we could keep from losing some people in the cracks by just really driving home the theory behind this. So creating a buying atmosphere.
And guys, hold on 2 seconds. And guys, everybody knows when you train somebody, people skip over this, okay? People get nervous when it comes to this. I used to think Van was really being rude when somebody would go, uh-huh. And he'd be like, is that a yes?
Yep.
Uh-huh. Is that a yes? You know, and I used to think, man, wow, Van's really being rude. Dude, now, if I don't hear yes, I'm like, is that a yes? No, because guys, this is frustrating to you, man. If not, everybody's going to give it to you. So sorry, go back to you, Kenny D. Sorry.
No biggie. So yeah, so here's where we're getting the opportunity to let them off the hook and not be high pressure. One of the things Rob always says is, I hate salespeople. I love sales, but I hate salespeople. And he asked why, why do you like salespeople? And most people say no. Why? Because they're pushy. And so this is our opportunity to show them that we're not pushy, but this means, like, we mean business when we're showing you this. Like, we're not out here just showing this to get credit for showing it. We are showing this to help you to be protected. So it's important enough for you to make a decision right now. And without twisting their arm, we create a buying atmosphere so they understand that it's okay for me to say no. But it's also totally fine for me to go ahead and pick this up today. Okay. So basically, after having shown a claim already, and talked about, this is the reason why folks get this, we roll right into, so before I go through how all this works, I want to share something with you and then ask you a favor. And remember how, we talked about the unexpected travel expenses, time off work, things of that sort. Well, Mark and Angie Sharp, they had this to say. And you read the claim. The day that Brian showed up, we never planned to use our policy. We figured it didn't cost much. You never know. And if we didn't use it, we get our money back. Unfortunately, a month later, we ended up needing to use this policy. In fact, if we would have waited one day, we wouldn't have been covered. The claims were easy to file and paid quickly. Having the extra coming in directly to us allowed us to focus on the fight and not the finances. We had good health insurance, but there are always extra expenses above the health insurance, or that health over and above what health insurance doesn't cover, such as gas, food, regular bills, etc. You don't realize until you're faced with cancer how life changes, but the bills keep coming. It was a wonderful feeling not to have to worry. I am so thankful that my mom cared enough about us to refer Brian, our agent, to us. Please give him your time and listen. Angie Sharp. It's really not that they actually planned to use it, but it's important. It was important that they had it, correct? And basically what I do at this point is I show you how this actually pays you. how much it costs, and how that money back part works that she talked about. And when I'm done, and if you have any questions and concerns while I'm going through it, just feel free to stop me. But when I'm done, if you like it and you see that it's a fit for you and your family, just give me a big yes today. And if it's not a fit, that's totally fine too. Just tell me no. Is that fair? And this is where you're looking for them to say yes. And if they say, oh yeah, or something that seems like that's just kind of brushing you off, that's when you want to reiterate, is that a yes? And when they say yes, then you can move on. But if they say, well, I usually don't make decisions without my wife or my husband, or well, I have to sleep on it. This is where you can already draw that out. And if they say something like that, then you can dig a little bit deeper. Obviously, you wouldn't take the time to think about it, or obviously you wouldn't take the time to talk it over with your spouse if you wasn't seriously considering it. If I showed you how much it costs, you knew it was affordable right now. If you pick this up, would your spouse be upset with you? I wouldn't read about you in the paper, next week saying spouse, beats up husband because he bought supplemental insurance. And sometimes they'll be like, no, I mean, it's no big deal if I make the decision myself. But most cases, if they use a spouse, this is where you can actually shut it down and say, all right, well, what's a good time that I can catch you guys? And the good thing is we use Zoom now, so we can actually give them the opportunity to set something up on Zoom later in the evening when they're together with their spouse.
Hey guys, and this is also where you just shut it down. Back when we had a book, you just closed the book, man, and you were like, okay, man, now just shut your iPad off. I'll say this real quick, guys. I've had people, and they think a lot of times that it's crazy expensive. So, like I've said to people before, hey, Ken, let me ask you this, man. If you go to lunch today, do you have to call your wife and ask her permission to go to lunch?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. Nah.
Okay. So, all right, cool. So let me ask you this now. Again, on Friday, everybody goes, hey, man, we're going to lunch on Friday too, man. Do you have to call her on Friday and ask her to go to lunch on Friday?
Nope.
Okay, guys. So, Ken, our coverage is like that. It's not life-changing money, just like you going out to buy lunch with your friends is not life-changing money. So if you don't need to call your spouse to ask permission to go to lunch with your friend, you probably don't need to call your spouse and ask permission for this because it's not life-changing money. People think it's life-changing money. They think it's health insurance, man. So I compare it to something that they go with, man. No, man, I don't have to call my wife and ask her I can go to lunch, or I don't have to call my husband. I do, guys, relate it to things that they can relate to. Okay.
After a drink of coffee,
you,
hey, if I showed you something that was less than a Starbucks every day, would you have to call your spouse and ask them permission to get it?
Yeah.
Probably not, right?
I had a guy ask me one time, guys, and he had a can of dip next to him, and I said, he goes, how much is this? And I said, I guarantee you spend more money on that dip right there than this is going to cost you.
Or Monster
guys,
Energy drink.
Reality.
Yes.
Yeah, Monsters are perfect, man. I can't tell you
how many
I've been in the jail and somebody's right. Josiah and I were in Myrtle Beach, and this kid was like, man, I'll spend $100 in that vending machine over there buying Monster drinks every month. And I'm like, good God. So, I mean, of course, he was like, yeah, I'll get this. I'll just buy less.
And that's the thing. That's just, sorry, man. It's just use something relatable to them. Usually you can pick up on something once you get to this point, whether it's, whether you're using the lunch thing, coffee, a Monster Energy drink, a can of dip, a pack of cigarettes. I mean, whatever. Y'all. And I explain to people, hey, look, we all spend money on stupid shit every month. All of us do. We all spend money on stupid things. But it's just like, Chief Lattimore over there, he was like, Brad, once I showed this to him, he was like, I spend a lot more money on that on TV and internet service at my house. I can't justify paying the same amount or less for something that's going to A, protect all my finances, B, enable me to get the best treatment available for me more for my kids, and see if I don't ever use it, I'm just going to get it all back. He's like, yeah, I can't justify not having that.
Yep.
Y'all, just little things like that. You got to be able to pick up on these things. But y'all, when you're doing that buying atmosphere, you have to make sure that they understand we don't do maybes. And I tell people that, hey, look, I just don't do maybes, man. Todd, you want to know why I always ask for a simple yes or a simple no, and why I don't do maybes?
Yes. Yeah.
There's 2 times people think about this, man. That's right now. And when do you think the next time you're going to think about all this is?
When you're going through it.
When you're going through it. So Todd, man, I'm going to show this to you. If it makes sense, fits in the budget, you think it's a great idea, awesome, man. Just give me a simple yes. And if not, a simple no is fine. I'm not going to cry my crying way out.
People think you're questioning. Yeah, people think you're questioning who they are, guys. You're not. I've had people get offended sometimes. Hey, man, I'm not that guy, man. If I say I'm going to call you back, I'm going to call you back. This one dude swore up and down to me 2 years ago. He's at sheriff's office. Man, I'm not that guy. I'll call you Saturday. I was like, okay. Guess what day he called me back?
Never.
Tuesday of the following week. And I laughed. No, he did call me back, but only because I basically called him out, So it made me laugh. So, guys, that's 50 some minutes. Let's go ahead and end this. Next week, we're going to finish up with the price build up and the close, transition to close. Guys, please help me out by getting on next week a little bit early, a little before 8 o'clock, just so we can get this done a lot faster. I do appreciate every one of you on this call. I know Brad does too. I don't know that I will be on the call next week. On Tuesday, so it might be all Brad, and if that's the case, I'll let you know, Brad. I'm flying out of town next week, and I don't know what time we fly out, so I will let you guys know. No big deal, guys. I don't want to say anything, but I'll be in Mexico. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey,
y'all have a great week.
The biggest thing about doing, the building the need and the buying atmosphere. Do not be afraid to be direct with people. People appreciate, because that's the difference between sales people or real human beings. And when you are direct with people about this stuff, asking them the questions, staring them right in the face, making them feel your presence, people appreciate that, because that is your job, is to get that family protected. Build the need and get a yes or no from them. Be direct with them about it. Do not be afraid to do that. People will appreciate it. So just know that. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give you with all this stuff. All takeaways from anything, be very direct with people about these things. And you will get a much better response out of them.
Yep.
Any closing thoughts from anybody?
Yeah, the longer you're around, the more you'll understand why it's so important. Because you'll get people. Mark and Angie Sharp, if they were one day procrastinated, they wouldn't have been covered. You'll get people, it'll be 3 months. You'll get people, it'll be 10 months. So like you'll see this when I had a lady that I was referred to by a client from back in the day. I went to see her the same day she asked me to go see her. It was her niece. I sat down with her. She bought. This was in February or March of 2019 or 2018, and in October of 2018, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So we'll see these situations. Like sometimes when you don't have claims that come up and stuff like that. But eventually you'll see why it's important to be direct with people and give them the opportunity to make a very informed decision. And if they don't buy it after you giving your best, then the ball was in their court. It's not you. But if you didn't do a strong demo and then you in your turf and you find out they got cancer or had a heart attack or had a really bad accident or something like that, you're going to feel like crap. So we got to show up with our best face.
Oh, snap. That's going to be a problem for me, man. It's the only one the Lord gave me.
Just put your Todd Bellamy mask on. You'll be fine.
That's what I need to do right there. He ain't got a dang wrinkle on his face. Look at him.
Hey, Todd.
What y'all are doing, man. But good. Yeah,
Todd,
go ahead, Izzy.
When we're done here, give me a call if you would.
Yes, sir, I will. If you want to tell me something bad about Brandy. Yep, thanks. Izzy.
Yep, absolutely.
All right,
I'm
guys.
coming down to
Tuesday.
Wilmington in March, so I'll get you back.
Let's make sure we're making
it.
some noise. You know, it's Tuesday after a train more. Some people are kind of bumming around and whatnot. If you got people on your team, y'all, let's make some noise with them. Let's get some folks fired up, and let's get some momentum rolling into this week. Y'all have an awesome day. Remember, be direct with people. People appreciate that. They think you're not just a salesman and that you actually care. And that's also how you protect your time. Don't be getting a bunch of maybes from folks. That's how you chase people around all the time. Be direct with people, protect your time, make it valuable. You can do that by just simply being direct, building the need, doing a really good buying atmosphere, get a yes or a no. We're not out here to be buddies with people. We're out here to get families protected.
True that.
Y'all be good.
Peace.